Listen, welcome back to my channel. This is Dr. Tash, the channel where we teach about medicine, healing, and motivation. Welcome. Alright, so today we're going to talk about something very, very interesting. We're going to be talking about the twin flames, right, or the twin souls, and what is the true purpose, right, of the twin flame. As usual, I like to make reference, right, to my life, because this is coming from something that's very personal, and it's coming from a journey that I have walked and am kind of still walking. All right. When I started my spiritual journey, it was known to me, right, that I'm on this journey, right, which is a twin soul journey. All right. Before I actually found out about my true purpose, and before I actually started my Kundalini awakening, and I was trying to make the connection, all right, because I would always sort of see this person, all right, who never really went away. Right, who never really went away. This is someone that I've known, right, throughout my life, and even though we were not speaking, all right, in 3D, as in the physical form, it's kind of like my ancestors would send him, right, to come and tell me certain messages, right? So he's always been there throughout my spiritual awakening, right, up until date. That's when I realized that, okay, this relationship actually transcends the 3D. It's actually more on 5D, right, 4D, 5D level, right, which is a higher consciousness. This is why, right, I'm going to talk about the twin souls and what their true purpose is. Before I begin, right, talking about the twin souls, let me just put up an image. All right, so I'm a medical doctor, okay, and forgive me guys if you hear any noise in the background. It is sort of raining where I am, right? So I'm a medical doctor, and therefore this symbol, I connect highly with, right, because there's a lot of things that are making sense right now about my purpose, and even how it connects, right, with my sort of field of work. This is called the caduceus. All right, it's a symbol that's used also within the medical symbol as well. What do we see, right? We see two serpents, all right, going up sort of an axis, and then there's wings right at the top. All right, but what does this actually mean? Okay, what does this actually mean? This symbol, guys, is an esoteric symbol. It's a very ancient symbol, hence it has been incorporated within many other logos, right, including the medical fraternity, because they know the truth about life, right, and the soul and spirit, mind, body, spirit. They've always known, right, the truth. Okay, so it's for us to learn. Remember, this channel is about learning. All right, so the two serpents that we actually are seeing, right, on the left and the right, they actually represent the duality, right, or the energies, life in general, and how life is constructed, or how God made, right, the world, is in pairs, is in duality. There's day, there's night, there's up, there's down. All right, so that is also the case, right, within the human body, just within the world in general. So these two serpents represent the duality, the energy, right, the duality of energy, which is what the divine feminine and the divine masculine energies. When we're talking about energy here, we're talking about, right, light. We all come from light. We are beings of light. All right, we are energy beings, right? Before we are physical beings, we are spiritual beings, right, coming from the higher source of light. Okay, these represent the duality of the energies, right, also known as the Ida and the Pingala, which also connect us to what, the left and the right brain. We as human beings exist in duality. This thing right here is literally just a vehicle. It's a cover up, but within every single human being there's a duality of nature, which means every single human being has a left and a right aspect to them. Every single human being has a divine feminine and a divine masculine aspect to them. I know there's a lot of controversy even around you know, the LGBT, the lesbians and the gays and all that, right? If you understand energy, all right, this will make a lot of sense. All right, this is just a body. All right, so some people are leaning more towards their femininity, some people are leaning more towards their masculinity, because why? We exist in both. That's what the two serpents represent. All right, and then we literally see what? A sort of a staff, right, where the serpents are sort of intertwining. All right, so this staff is the gateway, or it is also just the axis, right, the connection between what? The mind, the body, and the soul, right? So it leads up to these two wings resembling what? The spirit, right? The spirit or the soul, right? Which is also connecting to the highest level of consciousness, the Christ consciousness. The Christ consciousness is the highest level of consciousness, which has to do with what? The highest form of light, right, within oneself. Hence, Jesus said, the kingdom of God is within yourself, not outside of you. It's in yourself. The highest form of consciousness is the highest form of light, which is what? The Christ. About that in another video. So today we're talking about what? The twin souls. All right, so when we talk about the twin flames or the twin souls, right, we're talking about a very cosmic soul contract. So this soul contract exists beyond the 3D world, which is this earth world, right, which is the world that we are in. All right, but it exists right within the cosmic, okay, meaning 4D, 5D level. How do the twin souls actually come about, right, within the 3D? All right, so the twin souls originally they come from the same soul. So wherever the souls are manufactured, they come from the same place. So the twin souls share the same soul frequency, the same soul essence, and the same soul energy. So it was one soul that decided to split itself into two. Remember, you as a person, right, you exist in duality, right? Like I explained before, you have a divine feminine and a divine masculine aspect, right, to yourself. So now when the same soul splits itself into two, right, it means that one takes on what? The divine feminine, and then one takes on what? The divine masculine. All right, so this soul decided to split itself into two, right? Tada, then you were born. All right, so somewhere in this life, okay, exists another part of you, right, on a soul level. So it is a very cosmic karmic contract. These things exist, all right. These type of things are part of what? The soul journey. One thing that I've learned and I'm learning is that on this healing journey, we are not called to heal the same things, and we are not called to understand the same things, right? There are some people who are called to heal bloodline issues. They're very good with bloodline issues, and there are some people who are called to stand in between. They understand bloodline issues, they also understand soul issues, the soul healers, right, which are the universal healers. We are not called to understand the same things, right, or even to heal the same things. All right, so here we're talking about soul level missions, contracts. So this is why the twin souls are here. Decided, right, to come down into the 3D, right, and perform the healing work. So the twin soul relationship is not about meeting the love of your life and living happily ever after. No, it's much deeper than that, right? The whole point of this awakening, right, is for healing the soul, and healing humanity. Let's just take it back a bit. All right, so one soul splits into two. All right, you guys come down here into the earth. Like I said, you share the same soul frequency. So let's say you're vibrating at 500 hertz. Your twin is also vibrating at 500 hertz. All right, and what happens with the twin souls? They come down and then they choose to live separate lives, right? And the whole point of this journey is to find their way back to themselves, right, through the healing journey, right? And that is where divine union, all right, comes into play. All right, so if you know anything about the twin flame journey, the twin souls or the twin flames, they go through a series of events, all right, within this lifetime. There's some stages that happen, all right, within this journey. So if you are on the Inzunza healing journey, or sometimes even the Hosanna journey, so it also speaks to that, is that when you came into this world, guys, you came with your own unquote team. You did not come alone. All right. And with Inzunza, typically what happens is that you are on a twin soul or a twin flame journey. You have a twin part of yourself, all right, that is just always with you, right? So are twin souls born into the same timelines? Not necessarily. Twin souls don't have to be the same age. They don't even have to be the same gender. You can have a twin soul who's exactly the same gender as you, right? Meaning a female and a female, all right? You can have a twin soul that's also a male and a female. You can have twin souls that are, the age gap is further apart, like much older. You can have a twin soul that is not even in this lifetime yet. So it's kind of rare, right, to actually have your twin existing, right, within the same lifetime as you, in the same age as you. Twin souls don't always reincarnate at the same time. You're very lucky if you met your twin in this lifetime and they are still alive. All right, the whole point of this journey, guys, it is about awakening, and it is about healing the soul, healing the karmic bonds and the karmic contracts. All right, so I'm going to speak from the perspective of someone who knows that their twin soul reincarnated, right, within this lifetime. My twin soul I met when I was still growing up. Obviously, I didn't know that the person was my twin, right? I only realized once I started awakening, all right, to my spirituality and my spiritual gifts, that no, man, okay, there's something very odd about this person, right? Because even though, yes, we met and there was a time of separation, right, which usually happens on the twin soul, the twin flame journey, the person never really went away. They never went away, right, within the 4D or the 5D. All right, and as I grew in my spirituality, I started to understand that no, he's never going away, right? He's actually here, right, on a soul contract. The twins meet, right? You could meet at different stages in life. Maybe you met when you were young, maybe you met as adults, and then there's a time when you meet, and then there's a time, all right, where you guys go on your own separate healing journeys, all right, which is the separation phase. And then during the separation phase, this is now when your spirit team, right, starts making themselves known, and you start going on a spiritual sort of awakening. So this is the purpose, right, of the ancestral awakening. Your ancestors come to you, they say, hey, you've got a spiritual gift, blah blah blah, right? And this is happening during the separation phase. Okay, usually in the twin soul or the twin flame connection, it is the divine feminine. If you are the divine feminine, you are the one that's going to wake up first, right? Because the divine feminine is the driver sort of the relationship. You get to wake up first, and as much as you do start doing your healing work, this prompts your twin, right, to wake up, all right, to his divinity. So it sounds very magical, but it's one of the toughest journeys, right? It's one of the toughest soul journeys. It's one of the most painful, all right? Because if you know anything about the twin souls, twin soul love, right, is the highest form of love that there is, which is literally what the Christ consciousness is about. Twin souls are there to awaken to the Christ consciousness, and the coming together of the twin souls, right, is the Christ consciousness, is the highest form of love. They are here to not only awaken themselves, but they are here to awaken humanity. and they are also here to break out of the matrix. That is the whole purpose. So it is a huge, very huge soul mission that twins are on. And once the divine feminine goes through her kundalini experience, right, which is the coming together of the inner sort of connecting of the divine feminine and the divine masculine through what the kundalini awakening, this is what awakens the other twin. So it's all about the healing work, not just about a connection, a romantic connection. It's about the healing work. It is about the soul's purpose. Twins are here on a divine assignment, right? A soul mission. And they are light workers here to awaken humanity. You will get to notice that you and your twin are vibrating on the same frequency. You are exactly the same soul essence, and you are exactly the same person, split into two bodies. It's a very difficult journey to go through, knowing that your twin is alive and there's nothing that you can do, right? If you are the divine feminine, you'd have to just let your twin go through his awakening. And as you go throughout your separation, obviously you are living two separate lives. You meet people along the way, right? Let's say you build families, or you get married, or you're in partnerships. Twin souls usually find themselves in I don't want to say superficial, in karmic contracts with other souls that are vibrating lower than them. And this is how they find their healing journey. All right, so I don't want to talk too much about that. All right, so the true soul purposes of the twin flames is the awakening, and awakening humanity to their consciousness and the Christ consciousness, to break the illusions of what love is and what love looks like. Because if you know anything about the soul connection, the love does not die. It is the highest form of love when we're talking about soul journeys. So the key to the connection, because usually the union happens, right, in the spiritual first, then the physical. Once I started doing my work, right, which is a lot of karmic work, you can check out the video on transmitting the ancestral initiation, right? When you get through the ancestral initiation and awakening, and you get through the karmic work, this is what awakens the twin. This is when his awakening starts to unravel, because the union takes place when you start doing the dharma, right, which is about what your soul's missions and your soul's purpose. So you have to transcend the ancestral initiation. You have to get through the karmic work. You have to get through the karma. This is what's going to trigger the other twin, and he is going to start awakening. Right, so the coming together comes through what? The dharma. Right, it's a very huge soul mission, guys, and a very complicated one. But for those of you who are on the soul mission and who are interested in understanding soul contracts, right, you can read more about that. All right, so I hope that you enjoyed this video. Hopefully I'll come back with more content in the next time. Goodbye.